Hi guys, first off I want to say my autistic neighbor is out. Nothing against him, but just hope that he's not too distracting for you guys. Anyway, I took a break. One, because I got extremely busy, and two, I got burnt out and kind of lost inspiration for videos. But I have been packaging your orders and whatnot for my Etsy shop, so if you want to check out my Etsy shop and purchase something because you want to support me, which I am so grateful for all of you who have purchased something, so it warms my heart. It fills me up with so much joy that you guys would want to support me, so should come on over to my Etsy because I have some great things coming, some updates that are going to be coming, and yeah, just some cool stuff coming. So anyway, in this video I want to kind of talk about my spiritual awakening, or at least like the first part of it. Where did it even get started? I don't have any Oh my god, that squirrel just took a tomato from my garden. That's so cool. Anyway, so to get started, I was born on October 11th, 1997, which would make me almost 21 Earth years. I came in with the knowledge of the universe. Like, I already knew how it worked and how to manifest and what the law of attraction was. Which I came in with the universal intelligence pretty much, which we all do when we're younger, when we're babies. And then eventually, over time, it gets squeezed out of us and we end up vibrating a lot lower. But with my story, I was born into kind of an interesting family. But from what I can remember from like early childhood was that I was able to communicate with beings from the other side, such as like fairies and dragons. Those are the main two. Angels, unicorns, mermaids, what else? Trees, but not mermaids. Fairies and dragons are the main two, and those are the main two beings that are going to stay consistent throughout this video. Yes, they're real. For those of you who doubt it, they're very real, and I also want to shine some light on that as well, because dragons have a very bad rap, so do the fae, but they're really not bad creatures. Yeah, anyway, don't want to jump too far ahead. But, so from early childhood, I was able to communicate with other beings. I saw spirit a lot, like, such as ghosts I would see. From what I can remember, I started seeing ghosts when I was like 3 or 4. I remember I have this great grandma who passed away, and she told my mom that she was going to be pregnant with me, and a lot of people say I have her soul, and I do feel that on a certain level, or at least she's a really strong guide in my life. But I remember when we first moved into this house, one of the first things that happened was my mom and my grandmother were fighting, and my dining room light just flickered on. There was nobody in the dining room. Not me, my brother, my dad. My dad wasn't even home. My dad was at work. And I remember that just flickering on by itself. I would see my grandpa passed away, my grandma's husband. He passed away of, I think, colon cancer, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I would see him on occasion when we first moved here. Yeah, and then after that, I kind of have like a faint memory. When I was 4, don't really remember. 5, I don't know. But when I was 5, I remember being in kindergarten, I think it was, kindergarten, pre-K, some shit like that. And I got really into the paranormal. I was also head over heels in love with animals too, if that could tell you something about me. I love animals. I feel like I can communicate with them on a certain level. So yeah, I've always been able to read people's auras. Was I able to see aura? I don't think I could see aura, but I remember being able to read people's energy and know what they were thinking, how they were feeling. I always felt like there was something greater than what we were shown. And that has always maintained throughout my life, except for maybe 2 or 3 years throughout it. So when I was in kindergarten, I got really into the paranormal, and we had these books in my class that were given to us by one of my classmates' parents. His sister used to have them and read them. One had to do with, what is it called? Exorcisms. And I remember flipping through the pages of that book and being so interested in that and wondering like how this would happen. And it showed like a picture of the girl like flying above the bed and just kind of talking about how she was possessed. Sorry, I keep looking around. I literally, every time I come out here and I do something spiritual, well, spiritual, I don't really want to label anything I do or the kind of person I am. I always feel like there's like leprechauns or gnomes living in that corner and that they're gonna come out, or even fairies too. That, I don't know if you could see that area over there, to move my tripod around, but I feel like they're gonna come out and say hi or start talking to me or something. But yeah, so I was really into the paranormal at age 5, and then don't remember anything after that. But I've always been very in tune with universal intelligence. But when I was in school, I know school and society kind of dims you as like weird or antisocial or whatever if you don't have a huge group of friends or something. Like, it's really ridiculous. They'll call, like, you'll be called a loner and all this other bullshit, but, or deemed as different, when in reality we're all the same. Every single child on this planet, even you watching this, when you were a child, you were awake at some point before the calcification, I don't even know if that's a word, but the calcifying of your pineal gland and whatnot. Again, I keep seeing like all this energy. I can see energy, like energy currents and just energy. Like if I look up at the sky, which has been with me my whole entire life, if I look up at the sky, it kind of looks like a hologram or some kind of simulation, or like some sort of force field that's above the earth. I'll get into that in another video if you wish to see it like this, and we can talk about flat earth theory, the dome theory, all this other fun stuff we could talk about. So yeah, and I've always seen sparkles. Sparkles means that your guides are around you, like angels, whatever. But yeah, I've always been able to do that. I never knew what it was until I was about 16. So anyway, kindergarten, I have memories from like 2nd grade when I was like deep into that manifestation. I wanted a dog. So I went around and I also kept writing on a piece of paper I have a dog. My dog is this color. He looks like that. I have a dog. And I would just go around telling people. And I got told I was a liar, a bragger. I would get sent down to the principal's office quite frequently in second grade. In second grade is when I started to come into this power that I have now. Well, yeah, we all have that kind of power though, not just me. But I also started getting evaluated for ADHD because, again, I wasn't, which I think is just horrible. If you're not moving along with the grind or the grain of your classmates, society, you will get tested for ADHD and all this other stuff because you're not following the grain. You're going in a different direction than everybody else. You're not conforming. So I wasn't conforming. I would always refuse to do my classwork. It would always make me really, really angry. This is when the whole like anger and resentment and hating myself started. When I started getting evaluated for ADHD, which in my opinion isn't real. It's coming from an external force that people are telling you to try and conform you to society, to make you think that you have something wrong with you. I posted something about this on my Instagram, my main Instagram, so if you want to go follow, I will have something here, and then I will have a link in the description. But yeah, so I started getting evaluated for ADHD. I remember going to all these like testing. I remember going to some guy's house and sketching him, and my cousin, who was a special ed teacher, would come to my house and do evaluating with me. I don't even know. It was hell, to be honest. That was probably one of the most difficult years of my entire life because I was starting to become the person I am today at 8 years old, and I couldn't become that person because society needed me to conform, which obviously never happened. So I never became a zombie. I've never been in that fog. Maybe for like 1 year out of my entire life I was. But my mom was also very abusive, like mentally abusive in that aspect. Like, I was never allowed to be who I was. Like, I would be like really happy and like really cheerful, and I wasn't allowed to be like that. And I'm a very happy, cheerful person, but I was never allowed to be that because I had to be calm. I had to be like everybody else. I couldn't express myself at all. It didn't matter. And I was kind of raised in a little bit of a box, not gonna lie. That was pretty traumatic, but yeah, I endured a lot when I was a kid. Like, that ADHD thing, it still gets me. Like nowadays, I just want people to feel empowered and not to stand behind some stupid word or mental illness. Again, mental illness, unless you have like personality disorder or like something along the lines of that. Anxiety is you not being able to be creative. It stems from not being able to move that energy through your body. Not moving. Like, if you aren't moving, if you're just kind of sitting watching TV all day, that energy inside you becomes very stagnant, and it creates a lot of anxiety. So yeah, as a child though, which kind of contributes to what I'm doing with my life now, it would always be outside. I remember when I got really into Pokemon, I would say that I had Gyarados with me all the time, and that Gyarados was my best friend. I remember being in class and getting interrupted by other dimensional beings. Yeah, and then my teacher calling home because, again, I was getting interrupted and I couldn't speak with them, so I was like kind of freaking out because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't talk to them because I was in a 3D atmosphere. But I spent a lot of time outside. I also spent a lot of time doing just things with my body. I was very active as a kid. I still am now. Like, I would always just try and do handstands, teach myself back walkovers, front walkovers, how to do splits, or just anything that I could express myself through. I was also very big into art. I would always make my own book. I would always read a lot, but none of the books that we had in school were kind of my taste, I guess you could say. But yeah, I've also always have lived through my imagination. Like, my imagination created the world around me, which the imagination is very important, especially if you're trying to manifest something or create your life. The imagination, this is the key to creating the life that you want. So yeah, when I was a kid, I was just told that I was crazy all the time and that I had this learning disability that wasn't even there. My brain was just wired differently because my thoughts come from a different dimension. I live in a different dimension. If I'm being real with you, I feel like I'm living in 5D most of the time than I am 3D. Just because of the things that happen to me now that I'm more aware and awake to the things around me. So yeah, that is the first part of this video, is that I was a very intuitive, well yeah, I was, another thing about me now I was a child, I was also extremely intuitive. I was very good at predicting things, taking guesses, if you will. Guesses. So yeah, my intuition was always guiding me on what to do. So was Gyarados. Gyarados at the time was my dragon guardian. Yeah, again, I could do a video on dragon guardian, if you will, because I have a thing for dragons. I have a thing for lizards. I own 2 lizards, so yeah. I kind of want to skip ahead a little bit. So like when I was 16. So when I was 16 years old, actually no, before that, when I was 14, my empathic abilities started to come through. 2012 is when the world as we knew it completely shifted and changed, and we went through a paradigm shift. Yeah, 2012 was the end of the year as we knew it. And when I was 14, I started coming into my abilities full force. I was dating this guy who was best friends with my soulmate at the time. That's how my soulmate and I met. We were in middle school together, but we also had classes together, so we knew of each other. But I didn't like start talking to my soulmate until I started dating his best friend. But yeah, I was always picking up on this guy's energy and like just feeling everything. I would get sweats all the time, which from my experience is energy coming through the body and you harnessing a lot of energy and not knowing what to do with it. So I would just sweat it out, and yeah, that was very fun. So when I was in 7th grade, I remember this so vividly. So I think I was trying to finish a test. My camera stopped. So I was after school finishing a test, and my one friend and the guy who I was dating, who was my soulmate's best friend, they were all after school in the same class, and they were all like looking at me and whatnot. But there were a lot of people in the room, and I just got like filled with energy, and I remember just sweating through that shirt that I wore. And yeah, I never knew what to do with that energy. And when I started dating this guy, things just kind of got crazy. Because again, I would pick up on his energy, his moods and things would kind of like move through me. Not in a good way, because he was a very negative person. He does watch my channel. So, if you're watching this, hi, how are you? Anyway, yeah, he was just a very negative person at the time. And that energy was not good for me, and I didn't know that. And then eventually we broke up, and yeah. So anyway, when I was maybe like 16 years old is when things really started to happen. I started getting downloads through my crown chakra, but I didn't know what they were, and they were very scary. And I'm kind of happy I didn't like fully wake up at that time. I think I was starting to come to, but I just got really scared and kind of shut it off. But I was learning about veganism. I was learning about the government. I kept receiving downloads about the government and things that were just wrong with society, and it freaked me the fuck out, let me tell you. I started feeling pressure on my back, so if I had angel wings, that's where they would be. I just started feeling different, and then I started getting into yoga. Just on and off. Like, I would do it every Friday, and that's when I think my chakras started to open. I was also, I'm not even going to go into that, but yeah, I started going to yoga. And then that summer, where school started up again, I received a message intuitively that I was special and that I was divine. And then my ego took over completely. Like, I was not attached to my body after that. All of junior year, I just became completely detached from myself, from my soul. So anyway, I'm going to end it here. I'm going to start editing. See you tomorrow. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in part 2. Bye.